Alright, I just wanted to make a quick little video talking about my Hyprland config, specifically for people that might want to try it out but aren't too sure how or what it looks like, and also to talk about the keybinds and decision making behind those keybinds, just to give you a little bit of an idea of why I did the things the way that I did them. So the first thing that I want to talk about is a bit of the philosophy. Now, I try to keep it as minimal as possible, but also making it as functional as possible. This means that it includes pretty much all of the features that I need to use a computer, but might lack features that you need to use a computer. You'll need to figure it out yourself. But it shouldn't miss any crucial functions. All of the crucial functionality should be here. Next thing. I'm not a programmer, nor an Hyprland expert, so if stuff is wonky, then that's just how it is. I've used Hyprland before, but I didn't use Hyprland on the Lua config stuff, the new stuff. And every single time I used Hyprland before, it was more of like trying it out and then never actually using it. But this was the first time that I actually tried to make a usable, stable system that I can daily drive, which I've been doing for a couple of weeks now. Another thing that I don't want to get into, but I want to talk about briefly, is how the workspaces work. So for my setup, it's a bit weird. The way I use my computer, I kind of need a second monitor only for two things, and that monitor is fixed to workspace 6, or rather, the workspace is fixed to that monitor. You can read about that more in the config. If you know how Hyprland works, and you understand how Hyprland works a bit, you should be able to fix any workspace-related issues or monitor-related issues very, very easily. Important thing though, you will need to change the monitors. I ship this config just from my config that I use on the computer at this point. That means that the monitor setup is configured to my monitors, and obviously you'll need to change that before you apply this config. Next thing I want to talk about again is keybinds. So I use an HHKB, and if I don't use an HHKB, I use the HHKB layout on all of my other keyboards. So all of the keybinds that I made are kind of revolving around the HHKB. You'll see it in a second. Let's go over the keybinds now, because those are the most important bits in a Hyprland config, in my opinion. So the most important application that you can launch on Linux is a terminal. Windows Enter gives you a terminal. Windows Q closes any window. Really nice. Windows 1 through 6 goes to those workspaces. And if you have a window on a workspace, Windows Shift and a number, or well, 1 through 6 will move windows to that workspace. Nice and simple. Super Tab is full screen. Really nice. You can easily hit this with just one hand. It's a really nice bind. I usually, well, before I had it on Windows F, but it's really hard to hit if your thumb is what you use to hit the Windows key, or well, the super key. So I moved it to Windows Tab, and I've been liking that a lot, so that's why it's that way. Now, obviously, since Hyprland is very keyboard-centric, or well, tilers usually are very keyboard-centric, you want to use the keyboard to move around your windows. Let's quickly talk about the HHKB arrow diamond. If you don't know what the HHKB arrow diamond is, I'll put a picture on screen in post. But essentially, the HHKB has an arrow diamond right here, while other keyboards usually have the arrows on like WASD or down in the fucking down in the fucking right corner. And I don't like all of that. I like the HHKB arrow diamond, so this is why all of the moving around commands are the HHKB arrow diamond. What that means is that in order to move between windows, so the window focus, you have to use the arrow diamond keys with the Windows key. You can check what those keys are in the README. If you want to move windows from left to right, I'm actually going to open a Firefox window to more specifically show this. You'll actually need to use the arrow keys, so Windows arrow keys. And on the HHKB, you would need to, again, use the arrow diamond for that, because that's just where the arrow keys are. But yeah, you can move windows in all 4 directions, wherever you would want them to move. It's all really nice and dynamic. And this brings us to the next keybind, which is Super T. This toggles the dwindle I don't know why you would ever want this, but sometimes you get yourself into situations where you end up like this, and then you end up like this, and then you can just easily fix it like this. So Windows T toggles the dwindle. Another important keybind for window manipulation is Windows V. Windows V toggles the floating. And in floating, you can move windows around with Windows right mouse button, and you can resize them by just going to the edges. Importantly, you do have window snapping enabled, so windows will snap to one another, and they will also snap to screen edges, which is just a bit of a nice behavior to have. Alright, those are kind of like all of the system commands, kinda. Let's talk about all of the application commands. So there isn't that many. Super D opens up your Pavu control. Super S will open up the file launcher with Wofi, where you can launch files. So if I wanted to launch JDK settings, I could do that from here. As you saw, Windows D opens up Pavu control. It launches floating, and it launches in the size, usually because you won't need that window for anything else. The same goes for Blueman. If you have the Bluetooth Manager Blueman installed, it will also launch like this. Really nice. Windows A gives you the file manager. I use Fooner. I like Fooner. Simple as that. You can see the little volume icon up here. You can scroll. It will work. But you can also press Windows Shift, A, S, and D, where A is volume down, S is volume up, and D is mute. And similar, Super Shift, Z, X, and C are for previous, play, pause, and next. Windows H is the clipboard. You can go into there, double click something, and it will copy it to the clipboard. Very, very nice, very, very simple. And last but not least, we have Super I, which is print screen. Super I lets you take a screenshot. It will then automatically put that screenshot into your clipboard. And if you have a screenshots directory like this in your pictures folder, it will actually save that screenshot in there as well. So if you do a little S, this is your screenshot. And if you do a little bit of an IMV, let's do this. You have your screenshot right here. Really nice. If you don't want it to save those screenshots, you can just not make a screenshots directory. But if you do, then, well, you have it automatically. Also, what I was talking about before, the wallpaper is simply pictures and then wallpaper.png. So if you have a wallpaper.png in here, it will automatically load as the background image, but only for the main monitor. All right. One last thing that I want to talk about before I end this video is that I had a lot of fun working on this. Generally, I don't think copying someone else's config is good. You end up not really knowing what the fuck is happening, and it's really hard to change stuff usually. My advice is to just do one yourself. It's really fun to learn, it's really nice to use, and the cool thing about Hyprland is that once you have configured it once, it kind of becomes a git clone and done kind of deal, which is obviously really nice. There's a few rough edges on this Hyprland Rice, but I had a lot of fun making it, and I've had a lot of fun iterating on it. Like, this is actually the Hyper.v4, which is like the 4th major version, and I have made so many changes that this is probably already Hyper.v10. I just didn't bother updating the repo name, or switching to a new repo. But yeah, thanks for looking at my stuff. I really appreciate it if you do. And I had a lot of fun making this, and I hope you have a lot of fun trying this out and eventually making your own config from scratch.